Hi, and welcome to Old Guys Gentlemen Flex Fountain Pens, episode number 14. And today what I'm going to do is cover a special order pen that I got through Independence. And it was a Pelikan. It's my first Pelikan. M200 sandy quartz. I think it was a extra fine nib that a woman's whose last name is Kennedy. I'll probably see here. Anyhow, this thing gets an A+ for packaging, a nice outer box, and then another box. I don't know if it's something that Independence did, although it does seem to have a Pelikan logo on it. It's like fake leather, it feels like. I'll see when I open it up. Came with a nice note. It was Linda Kennedy who grinds the nibs there. So you can take a look at that. It's been properly adjusted and smoothed. I had asked for an extra fine nib. And it's on the full flex nibs that they use. Now it's got a swan... it has a Pelikan on the nib. I guess I'll have to look and I'll post in text on here as to whether it's an actually Pelikan nib that she did, or if they have a special order nibs that are supposed to be full flex. Never had a Pelikan before. This is the model M200. Came with this nice bow on here, which I had to redo. The box... looks like there's a little book that comes with it, the warranty. It's a little label. Now I've already had this out and I inked it and I did this sample sheet. So I'd say it's a pretty nice looking pen. Let's see if I get a little bit different light on here. You can't really pick it up on the camera, but it's translucent. Has a nice light feel to it. I kind of like the little emblem on the end there. That's kind of cool. Nice pocket clip. It's a piston filler. You twist this to move the piston up and down. It's posted, it's 14.7, which... that's centimeters. That feels pretty good in my hand. Unposted, it's 12 centimeters. And because of its lightness, I just like to have the extra security and weight. It just feels better in my hand. But I think a lot of people, this would be a fine distance for that. The capped length is 12.5 centimeters. The diameter, and I take a diameter like midsection here, is about 9.7 millimeters, and it feels pretty good, if you can see that. It fits my hand fairly well. And let me think. The barrel section, 11.9 millimeters. It's about 14 grams, so it's not super light, but for some reason it feels fairly light in my hand. The nib, this is the nib I was talking about. Let me see if I can open this up a little bit. Take a better look. So it has a nice Pelikan on there. And they call it their full flex. Let's see, can I read? I think that says extra fine. And she made it into a extra fine. I've been playing with my pens today. You can see the face of the grind there. So it looks pretty good. So let's talk about a little bit about what I thought about it. Positive things to say, I think it looks really cool. I like that color. Again, I'm not sure if this will show up, the translucent nature of this. Smoky Quartz is definitely a right name for this. Let's see what it looks like with Yeah, that's pretty cool, isn't it? It's plenty wet enough. And I'm using Pelikan Edelstein Jade. This is one of my favorite inks to use. Things that are like in between good and bad is it's only a slight amount of flex. I went ahead and I did some vertical lines, and I got about 0.3 to 0.35, and she had promised 0.3s, and that's going to vary by the ink and the paper and the pressure hand and stuff like that. Horizontal lines, they vary a little bit, but they were around 0.32, again close to the 0.3 she had promised. And here's a little test I do when I run line variations. So it basically ran from about 0.32, worked fine up to about 1.1 millimeter, which isn't a whole lot. And then it gave out and railroaded. The other thing I found out is that when you push it that far and it railroads, you must put a gap of ink or a gap of air in the feed, because it'll stop flowing, and you pretty much have to, reverse it, and that kind of helps move the ink back down again. You don't have any problem if you don't push it that far. But let's say I thought a safe bet on this was to bring it out to 1.1 millimeter, and I use these guides a lot. 1.1 is double bold plus. Yeah. So that's not bad. And in fact, so this goes from extra fine to double bold plus. And like I said, that's not bad if you want to do sensible Spencerian, where if you're doing an S, for instance, come down and just do a little bit more, or like a C, just a little bit more weight. And you can do more if you want to get a little crazier. But if you try and lean into it, which probably is not good for the nib, you'll railroad, and you also dump a little bit of ink here. So probably to be safe, you probably want to keep this to less than 1. See what I mean? Less than 1 millimeter. And 1 millimeter is double bold. So I think we'll call this a extra fine to double bold, which is pretty good. But I like a little bit more than that. In fact, the pens I'm getting more now, I like the double extra fine, or if I get it, triple extra fine. And then I like to see on the full side here, triple bold plus. To give you an example of that, this is the custom FA nib on the Pilot 912 Heritage, really light hand. You can see how those are a lot thinner than this. The microphone's in the way here, but I like it. I like it like that. So I got no problem with doing a C, or what's another? It's a little awkward here because I have kind of a microphone in the way. At least that's my excuse for right now. The problem is I'm trying to write too large, I guess. Do a smaller one. And you always have to do pull down on these things. So I like to easily be able to do that. And This is only a small amount. So I'll probably be selling this just because my tastes tend to run towards this. You don't really need this, it's just something that I want. Anything else? Usually when I look at pens, I think, is there something else I could do to improve this thing? So if I was going to keep this, what I might do is do a little bit of nib grinding to see if I can get it triple extra fine. But then the part of the problem with that is sometimes it will definitely get a little scratchy, and then I have to work the scratches out. And if I don't do that carefully, I'll be back having a double extra fine or maybe even extra fine. So I try not to do that. But this is pretty good the way it is, and it's a really pretty pen. The piston filler means that you're going to be able to load a ton of ink in here. It's only, I guess the only downside, it doesn't flex quite as much as I want. Oh, one other thing before I close is I didn't mention the price. The price of the pen, and I think it might be a limited quantity because I went back to see if they had any more and they did not. So I think this might be a special run of some sort. But between that and the modifications that were done on the nib and shipping, it was $447. And you can get at least a couple pretty nice vintage pens, maybe even 3 if you shop well, that perform a little better than this. But if you want a new pen and you want some flex, not a whole lot of flex, then this is pretty nice. And if you're a Pelikan lover, you definitely will love it. So I hope you got some value out of that. And until next time, goodbye.